What is up, Robot Wars, BattleBots, and BuggleBots fans alike? I'm your friendly neighborhood weatherman, Brandon, and I just wanted to say, get inside your damn house! Here comes a cyclone!
See, I get it. You changed monsoon to cyclone because this episode features cyclone.
Yeah, real talk. So joining me for this particular episode, as always, he just stepped into the Twilight Zone. The place is a madhouse. Feels like he's being cloned. It's Otaku Nate.
Welcome to the Hardcore Podcast channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Extreme Warriors Season 2 Annihilator. And this should be some good shit.
Also joining us, we have Ryan Beaver.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, can't get here fast enough.
How many more days?
2 weeks.
14 more days. So, looking forward to it. It's going to be the greatest Stranger Things crossover ever. And last but not least, still in the midst of his Resettis Replicas series, it is Ian, a.k.a. Resettis Replicas.
Yeah, I'm going to need to see an uptick in subscribers pretty soon. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing these.
Are you on your phone or are you on your computer?
I am on my phone.
You sound good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. That's what we need from this these episodes is tip-top quality. And speaking of quality, we can talk about this particular episode of Robot Wars Extreme Warriors. And the main series has officially finished. Now we're moving on to the 4 special events that aired right after the main championship. And the first one is definitely a favorite of mine. It's the Annihilator. Now, I've probably stated this multiple times, but the first episode I ever watched of Robot Wars was the Extreme Warriors Series 1 Annihilator that Drillzilla won. And looking back on it, it hasn't aged well. A lot of it is just pushy wedge fights and stuff. And even the only effective spinner bot ended up going out in the second round. But this Annihilator, on the other hand, holy shit. Just wow. This episode, I think I watched this once when I was very young and watching the show, and I only recall a couple moments happening. One was when one of the robots went flying over the wall into the house robot entry gate, and the other was Brute pushing Cyclone against the grinders, and that's all I really remember from it. But holy moly, this episode! Would you say this is would you argue this is the best episode of Robot Wars Extreme Warriors?
I still say that it's the grand final for me. I mean, sure, there were some unfortunate moments, but from back to front, I feel that the grand final is the best episode of Extreme Warriors. This is a close second, though.
What do you think, Ryan?
Definitely yes from me. If anything, just because Cyclone is in it and it kicks ass.
And Ian?
I think House Robot Rebellion beats it out by just an iota, but this episode is awesome. We've got room for plenty of awesome episodes in this season.
Yeah.
And let's start talking about the robots from this episode.
Actually, before we begin, I really want to give something else I really enjoyed about this episode before we get into the robots. The 2 running gags in this episode.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So those
Matt,
were great.
Matt? The 2 running gags in this episode were all of the builders basically fighting each other in the pits outside of Hyperactive's driver, who was just kind of like the straight man in all this. Like, what the hell's going on? And then and the other one being Mick Foley's ongoing grudge with the arena flyer wall.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, that was amazing.
The best match in this episode was definitely Mick Foley versus the Flame Jets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, they can't get me. Grabs a fire extinguisher. They can't get me. Screw it, and roast marshmallows over them.
It's like that Inferno match from that one Attitude Era pay-per-view. It was Kane versus Undertaker in an Inferno match, and at ringside, Jerry Lawler had hot dogs, a bag of marshmallows, and some gas cans.
Oh my god.
And he's like, why do you have all this stuff, Jerry? Well, someone's going to get set on fire in the main event, JR. I'm going to be ready for it.
Yeah, Mick Foley, he definitely has a bad history with fire. He's been in Inferno match. He was in that one match with Terry Funk where the whole ring exploded.
Oh, dude, anytime he had to work in Japan, he had to deal with a lot of explosions and a lot of fire.
I'm surprised
he wasn't in that infamous Inferno match where the whole ring was set ablaze.
I'm amazed, especially with his hair, that the Flame Jets didn't singe him. But,
do you want to know what's even funnier about that? Do you want to know what's even funnier about that whole Inferno match in FMW? They used that same ring the very next day.
Oh God, I'm sure that was a lot of fun to run around on.
Sure, it smelled bad.
Smells of rubber and burnt skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, I thought that was great. That just really kind of adds to the whole atmosphere of what Robot Wars Extreme Warriors is. Like, Extreme Warriors feels like the wrestling show of fighting robot shows compared to everything else. Like, Robot Wars, I know, felt a little bit more professional. I mean, as professional as Craig Charles can be, but this felt more like the extreme, you know.
Mm. And it was still a lot more entertaining to watch than most of these skits in season 5 of BattleBots. I'm sorry, but they are.
Yeah,
I've seen the skits with Carmen Electra, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, those kind of suck. Last point I'm gonna make. I think the reason though, all the competitors like yelling at each other work. Like normally when it comes to competitors being kind of douchey, I kind of get turned off by that. The reason I think it worked this time is because everyone was doing it. It wasn't just like one guy kind of being an asshole. It was just like everyone was doing it, and they just have Hyperactive's guy just like, "Hi, I'm Hyperactive. I'm here too."
Yeah, it was
all
fun.
right. Yeah, so trying to cut a promo while they were all fighting.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan Babb, he's not the big promo cutter. I think his brother Jerome. Well, I think he's cut better promos on BattleBots and stuff. But I think it definitely looked like they were having fun down there and just
oh my God,
having a whole Royal Rumble. And that's really matches the whole. That's the whole idea of the Annihilator. It's a giant Royal Rumble. Just 6 bots in there, beat the hell out of each other, and then one gets tossed over the ropes, and then it's on to the next round. And yeah, this episode, like from entertainment value, we got some entertainment value from the Roboteers. This episode had the most destruction, I think, of any episode in Extreme Warriors. I mean, we had weapons flying off, pieces flying off, and for the first time in Robot Wars history, at least in terms of this arena, we got some Sudas, some spins out of the arena. Yeah. I know people say, "Oh, Exterminator is the first." Yeah, well, I guess I can see why they think that, because I don't think a lot of people watched the Extreme Warriors, especially not at least not in the UK.
No. Just worldwide, it didn't have great viewing figures.
No, but who was the one robot? Who was the king? Who stepped atop the pile when this episode was done? It was none other than Team Raptor's Cyclone.
Cyclone, vertical spinner.
Well, after seeing it die twice in both U.S. championships, Cyclone finally did something right. They made the switch to switches. They got rid of that link.
Is that actually true?
I don't know. I'm sure it was still using the link, but maybe they put some duct tape on it or something.
Don't bring this discussion to shunt posting, or you'll start a fucking flame war.
Oh, I'm gonna be sure. I'm sharing this to shunt posting.
Oh, good lord!
For those lacking context, right now on the combat robot scene, there's this huge argument going on about whether switches or removable links are better for robot combat.
Yeah, I use Dean plugs. I guess you can call them links, but I don't. I just like plug the battery into my thing.
I've tried both, and honestly, my robots just suck anyway, so it's not like it really matters.
Oh, come on! I've seen Sawblaze. It's kind of like a mini Cyclone with a big spinner thingy. You could make something out of it, can't you, Ryan?
Sawblaze?
Yeah, or Ubersaw.
Yes, Sawblaze is Jameson's robot. I do not own Sawblaze. I do not have the talent or budget to build a Sawblaze. I'm sorry.
Sawblaze has a flywheel now.
Yeah, I saw that. going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do we're gonna cover all the BattleBots competitors later on this week, but let's get back to Cyclone.
Yes.
Well, as much as we can fit into one episode, we'll be burning the midnight oil on that one.
So Cyclone. What to say about this beast?
It's 259's bigger brother.
Yeah, and
it actually is.
Yeah, this was the inspiration for 259 because Adam Clark was at the filming when he was in the International Championship. He saw Cyclone rip apart some bots, and he looked at Wowat with his giant Diesel 10 claw and decided, yeah, I don't need this. I'm going to put a big fat ass spinning disc on it and get tear some tech up, and that's what he did. And
I'll say this, I like Cyclone a lot more than 259.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How come?
I don't know, it's just aesthetically I like it a lot better. I like the tracks. I know its motor is exposed, but given that there weren't 259 didn't have to face too many overhead weapons, I'd say it was safe for the most part. I don't know, it looks a lot more menacing than 259.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the tracks, so that because when the disc is spinning, a lot of these vertical spinners love to gyro when they turn, and with the tracks they have a better width. So that they're not they don't risk flipping themselves over, because I'm not sure if this thing can self-right or not.
I can't conceivably see it.
But neither could 259, so there you go.
I mean, 259 is more likely to land in a position where it would just kick itself with its spinner.
I really find it. What really amazes me is that disc only spins at 700 RPM. I find that difficult to believe. Especially when you consider that you got an E-Tech motor powering that thing. That has to be spinning at over 2,000.
Yeah.
But after seeing it just flop in the championships and just seeing it come back and finally tear shit up, flinging bots around, flinging them out of the arena, it's so great to finally see a robot just work. Yeah,
I love Cyclone. It is easily one of my favorite Robot Wars competitors. I agree, I like it better than 259. It actually, admittedly, it feels like a robot. The tank tracks and the thicker body. Honestly, outside of the fact that it can't self-right, I think this is easily one of my favorite robots of all time. And
go ahead. No, keep going.
I was just gonna say, if I ever decide to rebuild Ubersaw, I may actually end up scrapping the Nightmare design and going with something with tank tracks.
So basically, a Cyclone design.
Well, Cyclone only if it could self-right or was invertible or whatever.
Well, you could probably be able to self-right with the disc on the tracks. Maybe if you have the tracks make it run and able to run invertible. Maybe.
Yeah.
It could work out. Ian, what do you think of Cyclone?
I think a robot that you look at and you just want it to win, no questions asked, because it's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all we can say about this beast. It tore everything up, and it tore up all 5 competitors. But the one competitor who managed to survive and make it to the final and actually gave Cyclone a good run of its money was Brute.
Brute. Drum spinner.
Oh, I was hoping you'd roll your R more on the drum spinner part.
Brute. Yeah.
You sound like Richard Nixon.
I like Brute's not the most destructive robot, especially when it comes to drum spinners. But Mike Regan is a good driver. I mean, his driving helped him win the middleweight competition with Spaz. So, and the pit incident in the championship was an accident, you could say. But Brute, like out of all the other competitors, this one definitely was the most solid. And I think that if Cyclone didn't nick its wheel in the final, they could have won this whole thing.
I feel that the drum could have done a lot more than what we saw of it. Because that drum looks deadly, but it doesn't seem like it either didn't really work or doesn't have like a lot of force behind it.
I think it needs more bite to it.
Yeah, like a bigger teeth or something.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think of Brute?
I like it. I mean, I do think it's a little bit on the bland side, but honestly, it seems like it's a very reliable robot outside of the championship match of the Annihilator.
Mm. How about you? Or keep going.
Yeah, no. I'm done.
Okay. Ian, what do you think of Brute?
I mean, I think for its time, it was a very good drum bot. You didn't see many of them back then, but design-wise and aesthetically, it's not a really inspiring design for me. And they had good strategy here, definitely. You needed that to get to the last round.
Yeah. And strong machine. It managed to hold on against all the big hits, and it was only when Cyclone took out its wheel, which there had to be some way that they could have protected the wheels against these spinners, because they would have gotten some hits. Maybe could they have been able to put like a wheel guard or something around there? Or...
I mean, they had a few pounds left over. I'm sure they could. I mean, especially if they like took off the spike, considering it didn't do a whole lot.
I'm amazed because there are a lot of small robots in this episode. I'm amazed at how small Brute is, and yet it still weighs 215 pounds.
Well, it's less. I think in that case, it's less size and more. It's just very compact. It looks like it has a lot of very thick segments inside of it. So
yeah,
that's one of the things I mean, that's a pretty common practice now, especially with robots like Minotaur. Just make your drum bot as compact as possible. But I think for the time, this was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, very solid performance. Just came up a bit short, but we'll continue on down through Vertical Spinner City, and we'll move on to the other drum spinner in this episode, from the guy who gave us the darkness and gave us a robot that is just as useless, Revenge.
Revenge. Rolling pin?
It's supposed to be. It looks like one of those old Mad Max drum spinners on the front.
You know what it looks like?
What?
Invertebrate.
Kinda.
It's the same shape and similar weapon layout as Invertebrate from the old Robot Wars series.
But I think Invertebrate, as ineffective as its weaponry was, at least it kind of worked. Like Revenge, I mean, yeah, Cyclone broke their drum spinner in the first round, but even when they got it back together, I really can't see how effective that drum was supposed to be.
As I said, it looks like something out of Series 3 of Robot Wars, and its weapons are probably just as effective.
And what was the tail at the back supposed to be? Because I was watching the fourth round, and I did notice it looked like the tail was spinning around. Was that supposed to be a drill or something?
I guess.
So, fun fact about this robot, it's actually a hack-jobbed modified version of the team's BattleBots entry, License to Kill, which was designed to look like a scorpion. So that drum was actually instead two front prongs, and on the back there was actually a stinging scorpion tail. So that's why it was shaped like this. This was essentially, the tail was just taken off, and the crappy little hairbrush of death was put on instead.
I don't get it. I honestly don't. I mean, it did okay for what it was worth. I mean, as far as Thwackbot goes, it managed to get some nice smacks in on Cyclone, but for the most part, it was kind of there.
On the upside, though, it did it did prove how good its weapon was at the splits.
That's true.
Courtesy of Cyclone.
Yeah.
What do you think of Revenge, Ian?
Yeah, I like that they tried to make it look creative. It looks vaguely animalistic, which is more than I can say for Brute. I like looking at it.
I think the big difference between Brute and Revenge is the fact that Brute Brute played into strategy a lot more, and meanwhile Revenge is just going to go ahead, spin around, just try and knock Cyclone over, which it tried, but ultimately it was a failure.
Brute actually worked. That's the difference.
Yeah, if that thwacking didn't work, then they really had no way to defeat Cyclone, so it was do or die time for them at that point.
And they died quite spectacularly.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing, Ian.
Yes.
That weapon on the front of Revenge, since you're a huge Robot Arena 2 fan as well, doesn't that look like the Spike Club weapon from the original stock game?
Oh, yeah, it really does.
It does!
This does look like a robot you could make in Robot Arena 2 easily.
Yeah, it'd probably be just as ineffective.
Yeah, I don't know. The Robot Arena 2 physics have been known to actually cause the robots to yeet out of the arena.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
that should be your next robot, Ian. Make revenge. Then you should use the spike clubs. Oh, okay.
You guys, don't tell me you're not actually watching my stuff.
I'm watching it. It's just that there's like so many episodes of it.
I'm just lazy.
Yeah. I just watched the first half of the latest Heat.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of vertical spinners, that's a whole episode video filled with vertical spinners.
Oh yeah. For context, I should mention that just so happens that I'm in the middle of a special heat where there are only vertical spinners.
Ooh.
So just like modern BattleBots.
Yeah, just have a giant rumble with all the vertical spinner wedges in the same match and eliminate them.
Yeah, just put all the vertical spinners in one match, and only one of them gets to the semifinals. I would actually pay big bucks to watch that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've said all we could about Revenge. It's got some spiky stuff on it. It's got a drum that, to be fair, I believe it spins both directions, which for a drum spinner I give a thumbs up to. But yeah, it was there. Speaking of robot, now I will say that it was there. The next robot on this list here is a robot that, to say it passively made it to the third round is an understatement. It's the Termite.
The Termite. Combine Harvester.
Because what I watched that entire first round, I did not see the Termite once in that entire match. Where
that's all I gotta say. Just
were they just? Did they just not enter, or were they just hiding in the corner while everybody was picking on Thor's hammer?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still shocked.
Hey,
I'm still shocked this thing weighs only 165 pounds. I mean, why do people keep entering these lightweight robots into this competition?
And it's still not the lightest robot in this episode.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
I will say, yeah.
Fun fact about the Termite, it actually competed on Robotica as the Tick.
Yeah, and it lost to Tiger Wood.
Yes, it lost. It had a bunch of grinding blades, and it lost to a robot made of plywood. Before that said plywood, robot got probably destroyed by another vertical spinner, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah. The Termite, like I said, the big problem with is that it's just too small, and then because the weapon's too small, and as it's been shown in both of its appearances, the batteries are too small since they died on them in the third match too. I don't think it was losing the wheel that stopped it. I think it just ran out of juice.
I know. I mean, considering this thing has like at least another 60 pounds of weight left over, I'm surprised it didn't put like bigger batteries or a better weapon on the thing.
I don't know, but yeah, it wasn't in the first round. I did not see it in the first round. In the second round, it took a hit from Hyperactive and then kind of moseyed on around. In the third round, it tried to be competitive. Cyclone said, "Fuck that," and just ripped the legs off it, like ripping the legs off of an actual termite.
Yeah.
Or in my neck of the woods, a cave cricket.
That actually what they call them?
You have a lot of creatures living around by you, Nate.
Yeah, camel crickets. We get a lot of them. They're actually fairly they're harmless, but they're really ugly.
Anything else to say about the termite?
I think it's one of the cooler ones from this heat.
Oh yeah,
I like the camper on the wheels. Like I guess to give it better traction, kind of reminds me of Tazbot. But yeah, that's all there is to say about it.
Aesthetically, I think aesthetically I like it in the kind of the same way as Revenge. It has kind of like that Mad Max feel to it. But yeah, it could have been a lot better.
Put some more meat into that weapon. Some more weight.
More meat and bigger batteries is how at least it would be the first thing to improve.
Indeed. So yeah, that's the termite. So now we'll move on to a robot that should have gone much further than it should have, but alas, the Robot Wars gods showed no mercy on it. and that is Jerome Miles' Hyperactive.
Hyperactive Spinner.
Oh, goodness gravy. If you've heard of the name Hyperactive, you're mostly familiar with the featherweight robot that competed at Motorama 2014 and burst into flames. That's a classic. Yeah, this is the original Hyperactive that Jerome Miles and his stepbrother Josh Bab built, and oh, goodness gravy. This I will. If you haven't noticed this, that is in fact the Unibite's new blade. Because if you look at the pictures of it on the wiki, it originally had season 1 Unibite saw blade on it, but I guess they were overweight, so they had to take it off and put this big disc on. And I will say, I'm a little disappointed this thing didn't compete in the main championship, because I think it could have done better in its heat than Unibite did.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nate?
I really do think that, yes, Unibite... look at me go. Hyperactive had potential to do something good in this, but, you know, it got ganged up on by Cyclone, and it just fell apart. I think that's a problem with most of Jerome Miles' robots in the series. They seem way too fragile.
He did mention at Motorama that Hyperactive was built in just 4 days.
No, damn good effort, man.
I think I'm pretty sure this was the original body of the original Unibite, and they just put they just decided to put the
it looks very much like it.
It's got the half octagon shape, and it's got the wheels there, and it's got the disc, and you can definitely tell that they were having trouble with weight because there's panels missing. You can see the electronics, and it's like, boy, I hope there's no big saw blades going to go slicing down into the batteries. And then,
and then house robot for that.
And then Motorama 2014 happened.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Like Jerome Miles, he definitely. I won't argue. He definitely comes up with some creative and really cool looking machines. And like Unibite didn't work all that well, but it did look cool. And Hyperactive, I think if it had a chance, could have done a lot better. But yeah. Ryan, what do you think of Hyperactive?
I think it's a pretty good vertical spinner. I do think, it really need to work on like the strength of the joints, because it did kind of fall apart. But I think it's a pretty good robot. I do kind of prefer the new 30-pound version. The machining on that thing's beautiful and how sound the drum is. But I would say for a 4-day effort, Hyperactive is actually a pretty good robot.
Whatever it did, I think Jerome said he was thinking of selling the featherweight Hyperactive. Do you know if he ever did?
I don't know, but if he hasn't,
we'll message him. He's in China right now for King of Bots, so we won't be able to get a hold of him. But yeah, Ian, what do you think of Hyperactive? Ian,
I think we lost him.
Oh no, the phone not
Sorry
working.
about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I dropped it for a minute. Anyways,
What'd you have, a hyper attack?
Yes, let's go with that. So I thought it was very good looking bot. I know I keep saying that, but I think it's important for an entertainment program them to keep that in mind.
Because out of the 6 robots, 2 of them were big vertical disc spinners, and I think this was probably had the second most effective weapon, and it's just a shame that they only got to use it they only got to use it like twice the entire series. They used it on Thor's hammer, and then they used it on Termite. And I will say this about Hyperactive: he did he did prove himself worthy by lifting Thor's hammer. And just for that, I am going to give Jerome the John Reed Good Hit of the Night award for that, which is something we don't get a whole lot of in Extreme Warriors with all the Rambot fights. But yeah, and I also have a title card with Jerome's head holding Thor's hammer robot. And I heard some static. I don't know if that was from Ian or not, but I'm definitely giving the even though they didn't last long, I'm still giving Hyperactive the John Reed Good Hit of the Night. What do you think?
Well, congratulations, Hyperactive. You did something.
Yeah, so... But now we move on to the last and least. The mighty Thor's hammer.
Thor's hammer. Barry Horowitz.
What? I don't get it.
What?
I don't get it.
Oh, it's a famous jobber from WWF, Barry Horowitz.
What?
Yeah, that's about the only thing that makes sense in context.
What is he? Does he get squashed in 8 seconds?
Yeah, pretty much. He was basically there to be he's basically there to be the new generation's lovable loser.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about Medusa Oblongata, and we were saying that the team needs to make their robots smaller. We didn't mean this small.
Yeah.
Oh God.
They entered a middleweight.
It's a shoebox with a hammer on it.
They entered a middleweight into a heavyweight competition. Like, I mean, the Tick was, I mean, not Tick, Termite. Like, that thing was pretty small, but this is like about half the weight of everyone in this arena. Why? Why do they keep bringing these tiny ass robots to this competition? Do they just? I mean, just I don't know.
They just ran out of idea. They couldn't find enough heavyweights apparently. Yeah, Thor's hammer. It's not. For those wondering, no, it's not Jason Marsden's Thor. It's a tiny purple.
I wish.
It's a tiny purple box with a weird face on the front, with a hammer powered by a wheelchair motor. And look, I understand that they're like pneumatic axes. They're not really a thing over here in America. I mean, hell, all the most of the axes on the new season of BattleBots are all electric powered.
Yeah, they do pretty good.
This thing, in the 9 seconds that we saw it actually do something, that axe moved like it had zero power to it.
It's not quite as bad as Sergeant Meekle's axe, but yeesh. This is like it's like Bumblebot.
And I love how
like
the
Shunt's season 1 axe.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know if this
That's
guy
even
could
better.
go through Panic Attack season 2's armor.
Yeah, the weapon says powerful hammer. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
With all the force of me trying to punch through my door.
And if we excuse the fact that it's a middleweight, it's a very boring robot. I'm sorry to say. Like,
It's just it's like if you took CV and you shrunk
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Actually, no, that already exists. AMCV.
It's
yeah.
AMCV. It literally is AMCV. It's purple. It's got a silly electric axe. It's the same damn bot. Oh.
It is good at one thing, though. To quote Ratchet and Clank from Size Matters, it blows up real good, though.
Exactly. And ironically, out of all the robots in this episode, it's the only robot that's not a vertical spinner. It's just a silly hammer with it looks like the tip is screwed on. It's not an actual hammer. You got a wheelchair motor powering the thing. And it's like, I don't know how much it costs to build this thing, but good lord.
Hopefully pennies.
I assume it couldn't have cost more than $100.
Yeah.
It looks like it was thrown together in an afternoon.
What's the hammer head even made of? Is it? It looks like a.
It looks like a piece of plastic silverware.
I was gonna say it looks like some tube steel with like a flat piece of metal bolted onto each side.
It's like when I was building. It's like I have this book where you can make robots out of recycled stuff, and that looks like one of the like I cut out a knife and just stuck it on the end, like glued it on the end there.
Ed Robinson would be very happy about that.
Yeah.
You know, if you squint, it actually looks like a harmonica.
I don't see it.
Really?
I don't know.
I mean, the head.
Legend has it you can when Thor's hammer went flying, you can hear Plankton screaming as he's trying to hang on to it.
Yeah, that's a reference.
Yeah.
Which of course leads us into round 1 of this amazing Annihilator. And I gotta say this now. Is this the shortest Annihilator match of all time?
It's very much a squash.
Yeah,
It's hyperactive sends Thor's hammer flying, and Cyclone finishes the job. That's all that needs to be said about this match, really.
Yeah, it's basically
And it was
everyone dabs
glorious.
on Thor's hammer, the movie.
Yeah, like hyperactive and Cyclone. It's just like this first match basically just showed like that these are the two big robots to look out for. They got the big spinners. They're gonna beat the hell out of these tiny little silly drum spinners around them, and they're just gonna take them apart. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see much of hyperactive because essentially hyperactive just turned on Cyclone in the second round.
Mhm.
But yeah, this was just glory. This was gloriousness. Just and it's like up to this point, we've never really seen any like big vertical spinners actually send a bot flying. This was before the days of like Aftershock and all those other big spinners flying through the air. And just say, especially in the U.S. series where you don't see like the most air I think we ever got was I don't recall any big air coming from any of the bots in this series. So, like maybe from the floor flipper or something.
Only if you count Matilda.
Oh well, yeah, but that wasn't until like the last episode. She had her chainsaw up to this point, but yeah, just hyperactive. Just tossed Thor's hammer up. Cyclone tossed it around, got it up to the wall, and boop! History is made. We get the first SOOTA of Robot Wars. And I don't want to count the Antweight division, the Antweight match, because that was just like a completely different arena. But and I don't know, but yeah, just gloriousness. And then right in the last few seconds, Brute just pushes Revenge into Cyclone's disc and slices it up. So yeah, this was a glorious first match.
Yeah, actually, I'm on the wiki right now. I'm using it for research. I'm actually looking at Thor's hammer. It's kind of funny how you said he looked like a shoebox earlier, because when I looked at the rec footage, he literally looks like a stepped-on shoebox.
Yeah, it does. Oh.
Yeah, I do love that little bit at the end where we're just Cyclone literally cuts through Revenge's weapon.
Well, if it makes the Thor's hammer team feel any better, at least they didn't have to pick it up out with the chains on the other side. Of course, they had to do that for Medusa, but you know what? At least with this bot, you can just go over to the house robot entrant, just put it up on the trolley, and there you go. You're on your way.
Yeah.
You probably could carry it if you're a big, strong guy like I am. You could probably just carry it in your arms. So it's like it's only 114 pounds.
Yeah, no sweat.
I bench 250, so I'm good.
That's more than I can bench.
Yeah. So that was the first round. Thor's hammer got sent back to Valhalla. So we move on to round 2, and why this? I was
poor hyperactive.
Yeah.
This if they had just stuck to taking on the little bots, they probably could have done all right. But no, they decided to turn on the other big spinner. Went right into Cyclone's disc, and the whole disc assembly just falls apart.
It's kind of like
it was glorious. That disc on disc duel.
Yeah.
Love it.
It was kind of like Survivor, where one player can be on top of the world, just getting their way and in control, making orchestrating somebody's vote out. But then the very next episode, they're done.
Yeah. Oh, what was hyperactive made out of? It looked like really thin HDPE.
Yeah, I guess Lexan painted white.
Yeah,
it looks like polycarbonate.
Yeah, HDPE definitely doesn't crack like that.
Yeah, and I don't really think that polyethylenes were really used as much during this time period as well. That's from what I've seen.
One thing that just I don't know if you guys noticed this, but originally this hyperactive has Yo Mama Osama on the front.
I think that was after.
No, this was definitely before. That's why they have the black tape covering it. They had to censor it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, do they? They wouldn't let that on TV.
Yeah.
I heard about this from Jim Jim. Was it Jim Jamatic I heard this from?
I
was on that show?
I don't know, but I do know they had definitely had to censor it, and I'm kind of disappointed. Like Cyclone actually hit the side that says "Yo Mama" and not the side that said Osama, because that would have been funny.
That would have been great.
Yeah, but Cyclone just took Hyperactive apart. Just ripped off the disc, ripped off part of the plastic, ripped off a couple panels, until finally they just got it up against the wall and flung it right out.
Yep. Hyperactive holds the record for both the first and second soda in this competition, because he gets two of them back to back. The first one at least made sense because it was Thor's hammer. Then he just goes and does it again to a 200-pound robot, which just made it even better.
Gee, Bill, how come your mom lets you have two Sudas?
Yeah, but Jerome definitely has a history of firsts. He's the first victim of the drop zone, and he's the first heavyweight competitor to be spun out of the arena. And I hear something going on. Yeah, I heard a bit of static, but yeah, spun out the arena and just made a mess. And I'm actually amazed. I don't know if the tag team episode was filmed after or before, but I'm amazed they were able to get this thing back together for the tag team.
Yeah, that was a disappointing showing.
Yeah, if that last fight though didn't make you a fan of Cyclone, this one certainly did.
Yeah, and then of course, and then right at the very end, Refbot, who usually is in charge of counting robots out, now has to deal. Now can't do anything because the robot is now out of the arena. So he just looks on with a look of disappointment. Son, I am disappointed.
But I want to count him out.
Yeah.
That's all I get paid to do.
Yeah, this was glorious. This was absolutely fun to watch. Like the SOOTA, okay, it's not as amazing, but when you consider the fact that no other competitors had gotten any robots out, at least in this series, with any kind of weapon, it's still cool to see.
Yeah, for the time, this was very impressive. I mean, yeah, flippers and spinners knocking each other out of the ring is like pretty commonplace now, especially over in the UK when they have the low walls and whatnot. But for the time period, especially for the competition they're dealing with, this was very impressive.
Yep. So, bye, Hyperactive.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can summarize this fight with a quote from The Wire. Can you guess what it is?
What?
Go ahead.
If you come at the king, you'd best not miss.
Yeah!
That sounds dirty.
Yeah.
Sounds like something Majima would say from Yakuza.
Well, that's
what
two
the hell was
robots.
that?
I don't know. Well, that's two robots SOOTA'd. So now we move on to round 3, and this is where things kind of start to slow down.
Yeah.
It begins with Brute up against Termite, and God bless both these machines. Their weapons suck.
Yeah.
I think they were both looking
This time it was the Termite's turn to go down.
Yep, and
yeah.
It died a slow... You know how on occasion when you squish a bug, but they're still going even though there's no hope for them to survive?
No, because I'm not a sociopath.
Oh!
Well, yeah, I've squished some bugs in my life, but on occasion you don't get them, but they're just limping across the floor with no real hope. That's what happened with the Termite.
I mean, unless they're yellow jackets, then it's open season.
Oh, God.
Oh, God,
Fuck
I saw that in middle school once. Oh, you're bringing back traumatic memories, dude.
I mean, I got stung by a yellow jacket a lot more recently than middle school. So
I have never been stung by an insect in my life. Holy shit!
Really?
I've been stung by a bee because I found some bees hovering around my grill once, and then I got stung by I don't know what the hell it was, a yellow jacket or something, but it was black. But I
got stung by a bee too. I swatted one out of the air. Not a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
I screamed like Tom from Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
The downside of having never been stung by a bee, I have no idea if I'm allergic or not. So if I end up getting stung, it turns out I am allergic. Well, it was nice knowing you guys.
So nobody unleashes a deadly bee weapon on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike
Yellow
that one
Jack-
episode of Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, so this match, basically, it started with Brute and Termite ramming each other. Cyclone decides, fuck this, hits both of them, knocks Termite into the wall and takes out their wheel. But they sit on the flame jet too long and they catch fire. Oh no!
Is that really the cause?
It had to have been. They were sitting on that flame jet.
If anything, it could have at least led to it. Could have been the spark that led to it.
Something happened, but
But
yeah.
Then a display of skillful driving, it goes right over the CO2 jet.
The fog of floor found a reason to live.
The fog of floor. That's a new one to me.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'll have to remember that.
The fog of floor.
Yep. So Cyclone's disc is out. So now Brute is the one running the point because it's the only one who's actually able to do anything in this match. Because Cyclone's disc is broken, Revenge's drum's broken, Termite's missing a wheel. They're just driving around a bit, and then eventually Termite kind of runs out of battery power, and Brute just pushes it into the pit with the spike, and there you go. Bye bye, Termite.
Hey, the spike actually did something.
Woo! Amazing. Yeah, is there anything else to say about this match?
I think it was good tactic for Brute and Termite to go for each other. Hope for an easy sacrifice so that Cyclone would leave them alone.
Of course, that didn't happen.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but yeah, I think out of all the matches, this one was definitely the most tactical. Because the first two matches was basically Cyclone and Hyperactive going at each other with all the little small robots running around trying to do something. This one, now that it was down to 4, it's just like, okay, time to take out each other a little bit. Let's try and stay away from Cyclone as much as we can. Oh, Cyclone's down? Okay, let's just do what we can to survive now. So the worst is over for now. But
I don't know. I think this was their chance to take out Cyclone, and Brute at least should have capitalized on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but that does it for round 3. Round 4 did not last long. Like Revenge tried to use the spin tactic. It worked the first 2 times, but the third time Cyclone just hit Revenge, and that was it for him.
One robot has to go through in this round. Unfortunately, it's not you.
Yep.
This did give us a funny line from Stefan Frank where he goes, "It's a party in the corner patrol zone. Brute, Cyclone, and Revenge are all taking it out, and Bash comes in to dish out some justice."
Yeah. Okay, this is a really odd thing I noticed. Starting with this fight, did you guys notice that the arena floor was a lot cleaner?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
What was up with that? It's like, did they like replace all the panels or something? Because
Maybe, I do know. I think maybe they cleaned it up a little bit after the championship because I don't know. I think this took place right after all the events because.
Well, that's not what I mean though. Because like in the previous 3 fights, the arena was like all covered in tire marks and scratches.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
I see what he means.
But this fight, the floor is really clean.
I think maybe they filmed this on a different day.
I mean, I have one guess, and this is pure speculation, but Mike Lambert, Dan Kia complained that Sir Kill-Lot could be really leaky at times, to the point where like he and whoever he was fighting both refused to go in until they cleaned up after him because it was just so undrivable. So maybe that's what happened here. Because Kill-Lot was in the last match before the floor cleaning.
Kill-Lot needs to learn to wipe once in a while.
He needs to stop.
Mike Lambert says that they called him Sir Leaks a lot.
He needs to solve his bladder problems.
He's got diarrhea.
Yeah, this is intercontinental Robot Wars.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there isn't much else to say. I think Revenge was in there for like 20 seconds, and then I guess that was it.
And that was a pretty good try by them to stop the disc, and it would have worked against Backlash, I think.
Yeah, but Cyclone just has those tracks on it, and it's just much more stable.
Well, I mean, it's more to do with the axle that's holding that disc in place.
Yeah,
that had failed. That's what Revenge was trying to break. Having that strong axle is why they won the duel, sort of, with Hyperactive.
Yeah, so that's it for Revenge. They got completely mangled. Bash actually just chopped the drum in half, and it was pretty messed up. So, yep. So after that, we get after the commercial, we get Mick Foley versus the Flame Jets again.
This time with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, we get it.
That's gonna help.
We get a recap of all the fights again. Not much else to say. We get another commercial. We get Mick Foley with the marshmallows. I want a s'more now. You want me to bring some s'mores over when we do the BattleBots review podcast, Nate?
Yeah,
hey,
just bring some marshmallows and stick them in the microwave for 30 seconds. Put them on top of some graham crackers, and boom, you got yourself some homemade s'mores without the use of a fire.
Yeah, interesting.
Damn it! Now I'm hungry again.
Yeah, I need a PO box for fans to send me fan mail and food.
Yeah. Completely unrelated note: if you haven't tried it yet, eat a peanut butter and fluff sandwich. It's to die for.
Yes. So, speaking of burning, we now reach the final round of this Annihilator. It's Brute versus Cyclone, and Brute is definitely a plucky little machine. He just went head on into that disc, pushed them right back into the grinders, and actually knocked out one of their weapon belts. Yeah. Weapon belts, which is amazing. But Cyclone, they did a smart thing. They actually put 2 weapon belts onto their weapon, so that if they do lose one, they still have another one to put it up. But apparently, Brute's weapon did more damage to that, because if you look closely, you can see Cyclone's missing a couple of its teeth.
Yeah.
And also, the weapon just stopped working altogether. So I don't know if the motor just stalled or something.
I think the belt must have slipped.
I don't know. I know we lost one belt, but I don't know, because I did see. I think I saw the spare belt was still on there. I think the weapon just died. But yeah, this could have been Brute's match for the taking, but unfortunately, Cyclone were able to nick one of the wheels. So Brute is just driving around out of control half the time. And eventually, Bash got a hold of Brute, just chomped right into it, and knocked Brute out, and Cyclone were the champions.
Controversial finish, yeah, but you know what? I'm not really going to complain. This was a fun match.
What was the controversy?
Not the best final, with the house robot, because it won via house robot interference.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, but
But I gotta say, this is easily the best final match in an Annihilator, I'd say, next to Can Opener versus Thermidor 2. Would you agree?
Yeah, this one was a lot closer, and there were some good exchanges here and there. I don't know. Some of the other matches, like Razor versus Onslaught, was a nice attempt by Onslaught.
Yeah, I think people remember that more.
For Matilda.
I think people remember that more for the Matilda
incident.
Yeah.
Ripper versus Can Opener, I think.
Yeah, both of Can Opener's Annihilator finals were great.
It's the only time it did anything.
Yeah, and I think.
I have always liked Can Opener. I'm so pissed that it never had any success.
And Pussycat versus Arnold's a good Annihilator final.
Oh yeah, no, that's the best. That's the best.
One.
I forgot about that.
But I am happy that Cyclone has won. I definitely would have been disappointed if they lost again, because they were definitely the big star of this whole episode. Like, Mick Foley was backing them up. Everybody was backing them up here. And a long last Team Raptor wins, and they get, God bless them, the ugliest looking challenge belt I've ever seen.
It looks like a toy.
It looks like if you would put it on, you would just cut yourself in half.
I don't know. Were they allowed to take it on the plane with them, or did they get a trophy?
I mean, if you're shipping a robot back home, maybe they just threw it in with that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine them trying to go back through TSA with that. Sir, what is that?
Yeah,
sharp
especially
object
days
attached to your
after.
waist? Oh, it is my
I'm
chin.
looking at the belt. I'm looking at the belt right now. It looks like a Kamen Rider belt on meth.
Yeah, there's a picture of Cyclone in the pits with the belts. It's like I've seen all the other belts that the other Annihilator champions won, and well, like the plate looks like it's made out of it looks like a broken flywheel. You got this weird gear. You got some kind of stuff going on the side. Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't it supposed to look like it's made out of harvested robot parts?
Yeah. Like I thought like if you look at like Tornado's belt and stuff, it just looks better. I don't know.
Someone has belt envy.
I do wonder. I don't know. I hope I hope they still got some kind of compensation. Like maybe they still have the belt, because God forbid you throw something like that out. I don't know. I still have Raging Scotsman's wheel on my shelf there.
I mean, who was in charge of Cyclone? Was it Chuck Pitzer? Chris
Harriman.
Oh,
yeah.
And he disappeared off the map, social media wise.
I haven't seen him. He's not on any of the pages. I don't know. He didn't enter with Ghost Raptor at all. I don't know. I think he just stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Everybody stops now and then.
Maybe he just quit so he can remain undefeated.
Undefeated.
Yeah. Looking at this belt, I can see now. There's no way in hell that this makes it through the TSA in 2002.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Put it in your suitcase. Will they allow it in the suitcase?
I think it was after through your suitcase.
Like I want to if I'm gonna make it to Bugglebots, I want to know, are they gonna allow me to put the this remote controlled thing with titanium bits into it through into my suitcase?
I'd take it with you and check luggage. I mean, there are two concerns there. The first being obviously they might lose your suitcase, but the second being that all the tiny little joints, wires, etc., get shaken loose. And there's no way you'll just remember to check them all beforehand. I mean, we can take this offline. I'm inexperienced flyer with robots.
Hey, I appreciate the info. So yeah, that was the Extreme Warriors Season 2 Annihilator, and Nate, you said the grand final was your favorite episode. I'm gonna say this right now. This is my favorite episode of Extreme Warriors.
Well, if you want a rating from me, I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
I'll give it a 9. Like some of the matches were a bit short, but just the fact that it had a lot of destruction, it had a lot of Sudas, and it had a really cool bot and Cyclone. I'm happy with giving it a 9. How about you, Ryan?
I give it a 9.5. It did slow down in the middle bit because of the fights, but between the sheer amount of entertaining robot designs, the high level of destruction, and just how much fun everyone had just hamming it up between Max Foley and the other builders just hamming it up, just added so much entertainment value. Even when the fight slowed down, the builders just made up for it. So there was not really a dull moment in this episode. I'd give it a 9.5. I mean, yeah, the middle fight did slow down a little bit, and the final I felt like could have been a bit more destructive, but there was still a lot to this event. That's a challenge I really liked, and I'll be honest, I really hope they bring the Annihilator back if BBC ever gets their brains in gear and actually brings Robot Wars back.
You know what? Somebody should contact the Bugglebots guys. They should have an Annihilator in their series.
Hey, here's a question.
BattleBots could do it if they just rename it.
For if BattleBots were to do, like, say, a 6-robot Annihilator for robots this season, who would you put in there?
I don't even remember all the names. Maybe Minotaur, depending on how far they get. That one weird double-sided horizontal spinner thingamajig.
Rotator.
No, there's a robot that has 2 horizontal blades coming out of its right and left sides.
Electric
Ray. The bowling pin one. Kingpin.
I just spent like 3 hours just saving all of these robot pictures to my computer. So
Mammoth, maybe. I don't know. Ribot. We'll find out when we get to doing the reviews of the episodes and stuff. But Ian, what rating do you give this episode?
I'm giving it a 9 as well.
Woo. Awesome.
I have a sort of. I think that out of nowhere, this was very professionally produced compared to the rest. I mean, that mention, for instance, that 3 of them competed in the main wars, 3 of them didn't.
That's one thing we almost forgot to mention. When they do the intros at the beginning, Stefan Frank says, "We're bringing back 3 of the most destructive robots we've ever seen." And meanwhile, it just shows clips of Cyclone getting flipped over and Termite bumping into Dragbot, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's trying to make them feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I did have a list of small gripes that are preventing it from being 10, so I'm not just being arbitrary with the 9
What
is
it?
Well, as mentioned before, the match where Termite went out, that just dragged on a little too long. That was a poor editing decision. And the other thing was Carol Grow. I never really noticed how wooden she was before, but this episode where they really called on the builders to ham it up, she was just really wrecking the illusion with her poor delivery.
She is so vanilla. She makes me miss what's her face from last season, Rebecca Grant.
Yeah.
Goodness gravy! Like she's just no good. But I definitely give it a 9. And congratulations to the Raptor team for winning. Cyclone is still my favorite robot that they've ever built. Like Ghost Raptor and Alpha Raptor, Beta Raptor, and all those other Raptor bots they had on Lab Rats. They're cool, but I definitely think Cyclone's the best one they've ever built.
Yeah, I would say it's tied with Predaraptor for me.
Yeah, so that does it for the Annihilator episode. Next week is the Tag Team Terror, or we'll review the Tag Team episode. And but this Thursday, Nate and I are going to be reviewing. We're going to go through our BattleBots Season 4 preview. We're going to be covering all 66 robots that are entered into BattleBots Season 4. It's going to be long. It's just going to be the 2 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be long enough as is, man. We don't need to make it even longer. This isn't WWE after all.
All right. Then I am gonna at least throw this in there before we head off.
Go ahead.
I am heavily rooting for Ribot. Because
Gee, I wonder why.
Yes, because the guys who build it are actually really close friends of mine, and actually I go to the same school as them. Sadly, I could not join them because I really had to focus on my grades and I could not take a term off. So, yeah, I know I was so close, but maybe next year we'll see.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, is the bot P1 also from WPI?
I have never seen them before, so I don't think so. I think they're. I can double check if you want. I have never heard anything from the P1 team. I don't think so.
All right, so we're gonna save our energy for the BattleBots review. It's gonna be a Patreon. I'm gonna when we edit the review, I'm gonna send it to Patreon. A little plug out for my Patreon since my monetization still hasn't been restored yet. So if you have $5, it's gonna spend the first week on my Patreon site, and then I'm gonna release it public a week after. So if you want to donate $5, watch the videos and check it out. I'll send you links and I'll make another video showing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, I'm the Hardcore Kid.
I'm Otaku Nate.
I'm Resettis Replicas, and I have less than 800 subscribers. So you guys better fix that.
I'll get right on it.
And I'm Ryan Beaver, and I still need to watch his videos.
Peace out and cease.
I think that is all for today. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.
Boink.